guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm excited to share with you how I'm going about eating now that I'm pregnant. If you haven't heard, I'm about 8 weeks pregnant, which is crazy. The whole story behind that is just like, we were totally shocked, surprised. It's crazy. Anyways, we are very excited, very thrilled at another little one. And if you guys have pregnancy related questions, I'd love to answer just based on my experience or things that we've researched and stuff. To me, pregnancy is such a fun time to, just get all excited and to look forward to the birth and everything. But in the meantime, I do have certain things I'm trying to make priorities during this time, because pregnancy to me, it's not a time where you can just lay flat on your back. There's no reason to just give up everything when you're pregnant. To me, exercise is important, eating healthy is important. In some ways, being pregnant makes me get extra vigilant about what I'm taking into my body and stuff. So anyways, I'm going to talk about how I'm eating while I'm pregnant and just some of my goals for this pregnancy, and we'll see what else. So let's get into the video. So some of you guys know I eat following the Trim Healthy Mama lifestyle, the food plan. Now maybe I'll just go ahead and explain what it is before we go too much further if you haven't heard of it. Trim Healthy Mama is a way of eating that two sisters basically they thought it through, and based off of their own experiences, they had tried things like keto, tried, all these different healthy, they tried going vegan, stuff like that, and they had looked at what the Bible said about eating, because they were like, this is not working. And they realized that basically in the Bible it says that, milk, honey, fruit, grains, these are all great things. But why is it that when you put certain things together, you gain weight and then you end up in the situation you don't want to be in? And so they did some experimenting, research, different things, and they came to the realization that if you put certain foods together, you're going to end up with a certain outcome. And so they've done tons of research, and basically Trim Healthy Mama is what it's called. It's not an MLM, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Basically, we're eating the whole foods, things that God has given us, and using those to nourish our body, and we're doing it in a smart way. For example, I'll just say there's lots of instructional explanation type videos out there, or I can link the Trim Healthy Mama website if you want to read about it, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty. But with Trim Healthy Mama, you look at food in terms of two different groups. There's carbs and fats. There's good carbs like sweet potatoes, oats, beans, fruit, stuff like that, veggies. And then fats are stuff like dairy, there's avocados, there's fat from meats, eggs, things like that. And so when you go to eat them, you're thinking about the combinations. And basically, if you eat a fat source and a carb source together, that's great if you're wanting to gain weight. That's great for kids, for hardworking men, because their body needs that. They need the stores of the nutrients and stuff from those two combined. But if you are at a point where you feel like you're wanting to lose some weight, then you're not going to want to eat that way. You're going to want to separate that, and you're just going to want to do, say, a carb-based meal where you have your carbs with your protein. You always have protein. That's one of their big things. Always do protein with your fuel source. And then you'll kind of alternate that. You'll alternate the carbs with the fat. So maybe for breakfast you would have a carb-based breakfast, and lunch maybe you do a fat-based or something like that. And as time goes on, you'll kind of figure out what your body needs, what your metabolism needs. But the idea is it keeps your metabolism going, it keeps things unexpected, so your body doesn't just turn into it doesn't expect the same thing and then start to slow down, say weight loss or whatever. And it really helps it keep it moving, keep your body eating those fat stores and stuff like that. So anyways, that's kind of just a simple, I don't know if that made sense. Leave comments if you have any questions about that. There's a lot of information out there, and I'm still learning. I should get that disclaimer. I don't know everything. I still have a lot that I'm trying to figure out, and I feel like every season of life is different. When you're nursing, it's great to have lots of carbs, great to have lots of crossovers, because your body's just using so many nutrients, it's using a ton of energy to like feed your baby and stuff. When you're pregnant, it's different. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into that right now. Okay, now that I'm pregnant, I've noticed I've had more nausea than typical this pregnancy, and it seems to be whenever I get hungry, when it's kind of annoying, because with Trim Healthy Mama, the idea is you're not trying to eat all the time. You want to have spaces so your body has a chance to process what you've eaten, break it down, and so you don't want to eat typically more than 3 hours, every 3 hours. Now, when you're nursing, it's a little different. You do want to eat a little more often, but right now I'm finding that I'm just so hungry all the time. So I'm trying to be really smart in what I eat. I don't always get it right, but I'm trying to have things on hand that can really help me. For example, things like hard-boiled eggs, that's a great source of protein, and it's a good source of fat. And so anyways, I'll have a hard-boiled egg, and then that'll tide me over for a little bit. I'm trying to drink lots of Good Girl Moonshine, which I have made that before in other videos. That's really good because the ginger really helps with, like, say, swelling, which can be a problem in pregnancy, and it really helps with the apple cider vinegar. It's just great for you in general. I like to add a little bit of salt, potassium. Anyways, we can get into that later, but I'm just trying to be strategic in what I eat. I definitely have times where I don't feel the best. This pregnancy, for some reason, I'm like craving more salty stuff, and so I really do not like things with heavy cream, heavy fats, which is kind of a bummer because I generally love that kind of stuff. Like the other day, I made a dessert for my brother's birthday. It was a trifle. It had like whipping cream and cake, and it was really, really good. I had a bowl full of it. I couldn't even finish like my dessert bowl. I was like, this is just grossing me out. It was so good. Everyone loved it, but I was like, I can't. So anyways, my goal with this video is to kind of show you some of the things I'm doing in this first trimester to try to just help me feel better and also nourish my body. So what are a few of my goals? One thing that's important to me is to exercise regularly. With pregnancy and delivery, birth and everything, it's almost like a marathon. It's not so much physical as much as it is mental. I heard somebody say it's like 90% mental, the preparation, which is so true. I wish I had known that with my first baby, that when you're in the thick of it, when you're pushing that baby out, nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to do it. And so are you prepared? Are you mentally prepared? Are you ready? Do you have the stamina? Do you have the endurance, or just the ability to keep your mind focused and to not allow yourself to give into fear? Because birth is an amazing thing, and it's not something to be scared of, but if you're not prepared like me with my first baby, then it's going to be hard and kind of scary and not very fun. But if you are prepared, it can be amazing. I absolutely loved my second birth, where I worked more at controlling where I let my mind go when I was in birth. Anyways, it was so much better. So anyways, let's see here. So basically my goal this pregnancy, there's a train outside. Some of my goals this pregnancy are just to eat well, to eat as well as I can. That means when we go places, bringing snacks with me. Like when we went to church the other day, I brought a bag of hard-boiled eggs, I had a container of yogurt, I had cheese sticks, I had a beef stick, just trying to have good sources of protein along, because that's going to make a big difference. I noticed the other day, we were at an event, and it was like they had snacks and stuff, and the only protein there, I don't know why, but the only protein there was in the bean dip. It was in the beans, and I was like, this is kind of sad. So I was like, I wish I had brought some stuff with me, but that really helps. Regardless, my goal is just to eat well. Okay, so getting back to my goals. My goal is to eat well and to do what I can to exercise. Now, it's not going crazy. Trying to be moderate in exercise, just trying to be consistent and knowing when I need to stop and just chill, and knowing when I'm good to do a little bit, push myself a little bit. Pregnancy, I feel like sometimes people view it as like almost being sick, like you can no longer do stuff, you're suddenly, oh, don't you do that, don't carry this, don't do that, whatever. It's like, to me, I'm like, hey, I've got to be strong for when the baby comes, so I need to keep carrying stuff, I need to keep being smart about how I'm lifting things, like, think about like pulling your tummy in, think about engaging your muscles, that kind of thing. So anyways, this comes from exercising before I was pregnant, and so in some ways I would say I'm not super fit, but I want to try to continue to build muscles as best I can and stuff like that. So you guys, in the next little while, I might do a few more videos as I go through the different trimesters or stuff, just kind of sharing what I'm doing, what I've changed. So I hope you guys will stick around, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in comments, because I'd love to hear them, and it would be fun to talk about. I just love talking about pregnancy and all pregnancy things related. Now I'm going to show you I'm going to show you some of our dinners. As of late, I haven't had a ton of energy, so I'm just going to show you what it looks like for us, what our meals look like. Hopefully it could maybe give you ideas of like dinners or stuff like that. You know, every day's hit and miss. Some days I feel great, some days I don't feel good, and so I'm going to probably be doubling some things that I make, so that way I have a meal for those days when I just don't feel very good. But I hope this is an encouragement to you. If any of you guys are pregnant, expecting towards the end of October, let me know. Be sure to comment. I would love to hear. Like I said, this is just a journey of learning and experimenting and seeing what works for me. So maybe if you're at that point where you're interested, you're curious, do maybe hang around, see if you get anything that's helpful for you, any information maybe you haven't heard, or feel free to share things that you've learned in the comments. And it's because I think it's so cool, we can all learn from each other. So I hope you guys enjoy seeing the kinds of meals and snacks that I've been having lately. If you're interested in following along with this pregnancy, feel free to subscribe and like the video, and that'll help YouTube bring it up in your recommendations as I post more videos. Lord willing, we're praying that this will be a good pregnancy. My last one, if you saw the birth story from our last baby, things were kind of challenging because we had a stressful period towards the end, and then that really brought on Braxton Hicks, and then I had an irritable uterus, and then I ended up being on bed rest. So we're praying that this time things go better, that God really helps give wisdom and knowing how much to do, what not to do, and that kind of thing, because that wasn't fun the last pregnancy. So anyways, we'll see how things go, but if you want to follow along, be sure to subscribe. First of all, I'm going to show you one of my favorite snacks. I really enjoy fresh mangoes. It's a really good carb source. So I like to just take those and cut them up and have them in little baggies in the fridge ready to grab and go. And then here I just added some yogurt. You could also add kefir, something like that. And then sometimes I'll add stevia, but this time the mangoes were pretty sweet, so I just took that and blended it up, and it made for an awesome protein-filled snack. Next up, we've got some hot cocoa. It's still fairly cold where I live, and I'm sure I'm not the only one like that. So I really enjoy doing some cocoa. Here I took some almond milk and warmed that up, and then I used one of my hot cocoa mixes. You guys can see our house isn't always the cleanest, just being honest here. Anyways, you probably saw the mess there. But then I took some of the cocoa mix and just mixed it in with the milk. This cocoa mix has protein powder in it, which I can share the link, but that's also great for a snack. I do like to add a little bit of vanilla just for some extra flavor to it. Then I just grabbed a few of the marshmallows I had made recently and threw those on top for a little fun garnish. Now these quesadillas are one of my favorite things to do. I really like using sandwich meat. That's one thing I know in the past they haven't recommended it, but I haven't seen any concern or reason to not eat it. So I enjoy doing that, and then melting some cheese, just throwing that on there and then putting it on a hot skillet. I like to use cast iron because they say you can get some iron absorption if you use cast iron. So anyways, I put it on there and melt it, and then I like to add some veggies, and that made for a great lunch. I know you're not really supposed to use a knife on a skillet, but that's just what I had handy, so I used that carefully just to remove the quesadilla from the skillet. And I can assure you, it was very, very tasty. Next up, we have some Good Girl Moonshine. This is what I had referred to earlier in the video. I can put a link down below, but it's kind of off and on. Like, I'll drink it every other day or so, and then I'll go for a week and forget about it, and then I'll pull it out and start drinking it again. So I'm just being honest here. I'm not always super consistent, but I do try to drink it when I think of it. This is not supposed to replace a snack or anything. It's more just something you can sip on that's really good for you. Sometimes I like to use True Lime packets. Those are really good. I'll use those for the flavor and sweetener, along with, of course, using the lemon juice and ginger and lime. But today, on this particular day, I just grabbed some lemon packets and used that, and then added stevia for the sweetener. Then you just add water, fill it up. You can see, once again, I have we live in this house, so the sink was kind of full of dishes. But anyways, then I sipped on this for the rest of the day. So there are so many different ways to make these. Sometimes I use True Lime packets. Let me show you. I'll show you what those look like. But, okay, I just turned the wrong burner on. Isn't that the way it goes? Can I say pregnancy brain? Thankfully I caught it before it went too far. Okay, so as I was saying, sometimes I'll put these True Lime packets in it, but there's less than 2 grams of sugar. I guess it's cane sugar. So that's like the only sugar I ever have. And since it's such a small amount and it's spread out over like the whole day, you're sipping it throughout the day, doesn't make that big of a deal, at least for me. Also, I only do one a day. So anyways, this is the one I'm gonna drink right now. So last time I made it, it tasted like a gingerade almost, with apple cider vinegar and ginger. So yeah, I drank it a lot in my last pregnancy just to help with swelling and stuff. So whether you're pregnant or not, it's a great drink, a great refresher, a great one just to sip throughout the day. So kefir is something that I have started using as of late. I got some grains from a friend. If you're watching this, thank you. Anyways, this is the milk that had sat in the grains for about 12 hours or so, maybe longer. And sometimes I like to do a double ferment, so I just pulled it out. I added some baobab powder. That's a fruit, and it just gives it a little bit of feeding. So anyways, I just mix that up so then I have it on hand for milkshakes and stuff. Now on to dinners. So far I seem to be okay with most meat. I know some people say they really struggle handling raw meat or cooking with it when they're pregnant, but thankfully it doesn't seem to bother me. So I decided to make some enchiladas and double the batch so that way I had a good bit I could throw into the freezer. Actually, I don't think I doubled it. I think I just made one recipe, but there was enough that it was like it was doubled. This is one of those recipes where it seems like it has a lot of ingredients, but then once you mix it all up, it's like really easy. For the sauce, I just mixed everything up in my Vitamix, and then it was ready to go. This recipe is from the Trim Healthy Cookbook, and it's a super easy and yummy, delicious one. After the beef was cooked, I poured out as much fat as I could, Just trying to get rid of that excess fat. After mixing up the enchilada sauce, then I poured it into the beef. I don't know if you can tell, I like to live life on the edge sometimes. I probably should have used a bigger pan, but managed to make it work this time. Then instead of using tortillas in the recipe, I use some low carb, low fat wraps. There's still something I'm kind of figuring out how to use because I don't have the best success when I go to make tortillas with them. It doesn't seem to go super far, but they're really, really nice, like in a pinch when you don't have tortillas. I find that when making the Wonder Wraps, my preferred way to cook them is on a non-stick skillet or a griddle, because they really don't come off very easily of my they don't come off very easily of my cast iron. So this is how I like to cook them. If any of you guys have made Wonder Wraps and have any suggestions for how to get them to turn out better, do let me know. I would love to hear. As I was editing this video, I was reminded I've actually taken Wonder Wraps and added peanut butter and jam to them and rolled them up, and that was amazing. That was really, really good. I did have a few leftover corn tortillas that I threw on the top, and then I think I had run out of cheese, and so I just finished the cheese on the top of the one, and then when I pulled them out of the freezer, then I just added some fresh cheese to the one that didn't have any. We're going to be gone most of today, and I still need to eat a lot of food throughout the day just to keep feeling good. So let me show you the stuff that I packed that's on plan with THM, and hopefully everything I'm bringing is going to keep us fueled today. So I'm taking hard-boiled eggs. I'm gonna peel these in the car. I don't have time to do it right now. Then there's some turkey sticks, cheese sticks. I've got shameless crackers. Have Armor Light, or Body Armor. Armor Light, yeah. Got some 0 calorie, some vitamin water. There's sandwich for my husband, sandwich for me, sandwich for the little boy. I've got peppers, some cinnamon roll kind of squares, pickles, we're taking those. I made up a mango cottage cheese kind of a smoothie. I'm gonna take that. Got chips, oranges. I grabbed 2 of these. I haven't had these before. I've had a different, they're just regular. That's it bar, but this one has probiotics, so that should be interesting. And then a banana. So that's what I'm taking. We'll see if it keeps us full the whole day. Why do I do THM? Because I want to nourish my body. I know that when you eat certain things, it really helps you physically. It helps you, gives you strength, energy. I remember when I was younger, a teenager, I would eat a ton of junk food. And it didn't really affect me that much in the sense I wasn't overweight or, I don't know, I was able, things were, fine, normal. But later, thinking back, I remember some of those huge food or sugar crashes. I would have like a bunch of Oreos in a thing of milk and like blend it up. And that was just so good. But then I would have a huge energy crash right afterwards, and I remember just being like, oh, this feels terrible. So anyways, I'm really thankful for the THM lifestyle, because it's something you can do all the time. You don't have to just, it's not something you're limited to. You can do it when you go out to eat. You can choose what you don't eat. Like if you get a hamburger, just leave the bun off. Get extra lettuce or something like that. It's extra stuff that's gonna help fill you up. Anyways, there's just so many cool things about it. I'm just so thankful for it, and if you guys want to know more about it, be sure to leave a comment.